Good morning mga kaibigan! Welcome back to our channel. So Alex Eala is officially through the third round of the Cincinnati Open, and what a way to start her Cincinnati campaign. Alex was completely in control against yung kalaban niya, Romania's Elena-Gabriela Ruse. She was leading 6-1 and 3-0 before the match was interrupted by lightning and rain. But when tournament organizers eventually cleared the courts for play to resume, Ruse was unable to continue dahil sa isang injury, and so she officially retired from the match. Alex then advances to round of 32. Now, of course, wala namang magkakagusto na makakita ng isang opponent or a player end a match because of injury. So we hope Ruse recovers quickly. Pero at the same time, kailangan din nating sabihin kung ano talaga yung nangyari before the retirement. Because Alex was playing a very good match. She was dominating. Hindi ito yung tipo ba na dikit yung laban tapos biglang nag-retire. Yung isa habang 50-50 pang match. Because Alex had already won first set 6-1. And she was already leading 3-0 in the second set. And perhaps even more impressive, at one point, si Alex, she won 9 consecutive games. So today, pag-uusapan natin exactly how Alex took control, what happened to Ruse, the history between these two players, and of course, the massive challenge waiting to happen. And that is world number 10, Amanda Anisimova. So what's interesting about this match against Ruse was that Alex actually didn't start this match perfectly. Okay, so Ruse took the opening game after a long battle. Then the two players exchanged breaks early, and for a few minutes, parang pwedeng maging complicated ang match, mga kaibigan. But once Alex settled into the rhythm, everything changed. At 2-1, you could clearly see Alex beginning to understand what she wanted to do to play this game. She started taking the ball early. She started attacking inside the baseline. Her ground strokes became deeper and more aggressive. And particularly on Ruse's second serve, Alex was absolutely relentless. According sa match statistics afterwards, Alex actually won 78% ng points when returning Ruse's second serve. Mga kaibigan, that is huge. Kapag naman second serve si Ruse, Alex wasn't just putting the ball back into play. She was attacking. She would step inside the baseline and immediately try to take control of the rally. And once Alex started doing that consistently, Ruse, she started feeling the pressure almost every single time she served. So after Alex held for 2-1, she started pulling away. There was a break, hold, another break, and then another hold. And suddenly, yung scoreboard, it was 6-1. And this wasn't a lucky first set, mga kaibigan. Alex dictated the rallies. She was hitting the pace. She was finding angles. She was changing direction very comfortably. And most importantly, she looked very confident. Para bang clear sa body language ni Alex na she knew exactly what she needed to do to finish this game. And that's something we've seen more often from her this season. Hindi na siya yung player na naghihintay lang kung anong gagawin ng opponent. She is increasingly becoming the player who says, you know what, this is how we're going to play this match. And that is a completely different mentality. So sometimes after winning a set 6-1, players tend to relax. You can see yung dip in concentration. They will lose an early service game. Then suddenly yung score 2-2. And then we have completely different match. But Alex didn't allow for that to happen on this match. She came out in the second set and immediately continued the pressure. So yung score was 1-0 and then 2-0 and then 3-0. At that point, like I said, she had extended her run to 9 consecutive games. 9. So that means Ruse went from being involved in the match early in the first set to barely being able to put a game on the board. And Alex's return game was huge reason why. So nakita ko sa ESPN match report, she won approximately 71% of Ruse's first serve return points at yung sinasabi natin na 78% against the second serve. That is incredible pressure for any server. Because imagine, mga kaibigan, you are serving and realizing that even when your first serve lands in, you are still losing the majority of these points. Kapag naman second serve, nandyan agad si Alex stepping forward and attacking. So talagang nakaka-pressure. After Alex went up 3-0 in the second set, Ruse called for the trainer. She received treatment and had her right foot or ankle area taped. Different reports described it as a right foot or ankle issue, but what was clear was that something was bothering her physically. And then again, we don't want to minimize that, right? Injury is part of professional sports, unfortunately, and Ruse is a very experienced player. She was ranked as high as, I think, number 51 in the world singles and even higher in doubles. So if she felt she could continue safely, obviously she would want to. The match briefly resumed, and Alex again was up still at 30-0 in the game. And then there was that weather that decided to join the match. Lightning was approaching the area. There was, I think, heavy rain that was coming, and tournament officials suspended the play for safety. So Alex and Rose had to leave the court. At this point, parang yung weather delays, they are becoming part of Alex Iala's 2026 storyline because remember what happened in Washington? The DC Open final against Jessica Pegula was also affected by the weather. That match had to be interrupted and had to be continued the next day. And of course, we know that the players had to deal with the waiting, the players had to reset mentally, and eventually they came back. And Alex completed one of the biggest victories of her career. So this time in Cincinnati, however, the circumstances were different. Alex wasn't in the middle of a close championship match. She was leading comfortably 6-1, 3-0, 30 love. So while fans were waiting for the match to resume, the biggest question was that can Alex maintain the same momentum after the interruption? Pero eventually, that question didn't need to be answered because when the courts were cleared and play could resume, Ruse retired from the match because of that injury. And just like that, mga kaibigan, Alex officially advanced to round 3. So now let's talk about the history ng dalawang players na ito. This is where it becomes a little bit more interesting because Alex and Ruse actually have played before. I think it was back 2024 for the US Open qualifying. Alex was still 19, I think, and she was trying to break into the biggest tournaments and she had reached the final round of qualifying. One more victory, mga kaibigan, and she would make the US Open main draw. And the player standing in her way was Elena-Gabriela Ruse. One match away from a main draw of a Grand Slam. You win the first set and then the match slips away. So those are the types, though, of losses young players remember. Now, fast forward ngayon, 2026. Same two players, but very different circumstances. In 2024, Alex was still trying to qualify for the US Open. In 2026, Alex Eala arrives in Cincinnati ranked number 20 in the world. She is the number 17 seed. She receives the first round bye. She is already a WTA champion. She wins over elite players, and she is no longer trying to convince everybody that she belongs at that level because she does. And when she met Ruse again, look at the scoreboard 6-1, 3-0. That is what makes this result so fascinating because you can literally measure Alex's progress through this matchup. Same opponent, 2 years apart, completely different version of Alex Eala. So is it really payback? I've seen people calling this revenge or payback, and yes, from a fan perspective, ang sarap talaga ng storyline, right? Ruse ended Alex's US Open dream in 2024. Now Alex gets the win in Cincinnati. But for me personally, I think the better story isn't about revenge, but the better story is about growth and improvement because Alex didn't need to prove that the 2024 loss was a mistake. Losses, guys, are part of tennis, are part of every sport. What she needed to do was become a better player, and she clearly has. She is now stronger, more experienced, more aggressive, more comfortable against high level opposition. And especially on hard courts this season, she has looked like she knows she can hurt almost anybody. And that's much bigger than revenge. And Alex's recent form deserves attention. According to some media outlets, this was Alex's 11th victory in her last 13 matches, dating back to her title run in Washington. And that is excellent consistency because remember, again, she didn't simply have one magical tournament and then disappeared. She won Washington, and then she went to Toronto and made another strong run before losing to Belinda Bencic in the fourth round. Now, after a short period of rest, she comes to Cincinnati and immediately looks sharp again. That is what we want to see. The question after a breakthrough tournament is always, can she sustain it? And so far, Alex seems to be doing exactly that. Okay, and now here comes Amanda Anisimova. So the celebration has to be short because the next opponent is serious. World number 10, ninth seed in Cincinnati, Anisimova defeated Zeynep Sonmez 6-2, 6-3 to advance. And this will reportedly be the first career meeting between Alex and Amanda. And this is going to be fascinating because Amanda is a powerful ball striker. She can take time away from you very, very quickly. She can hit through the court. And obviously, as a top 10 player, she's going to be a major step up in difficulty. And here's something more interesting. Anisimova herself acknowledged how well Alex has been playing. I like that. She said Alex has been having an incredible season and called her a great player. So she mentioned about Alex's huge fan base, and she said she expects the stadium to be packed. And she's right about that, right? Kapag may Alex Eala match sa North America ngayon, parang automatic na may Filipino crowd. We will see flags, we will hear the noise, we will feel the support because Eala-mania travels with her. If Alex beats Amanda Anisimova, it would be another top 10 victory in what has already been an incredible season. This could be a huge opportunity for Alex. According to ESPN, Alex will be going from what could be her eighth top 10 win of the season. That alone tells you how dramatic her rise has been because think about how crazy that sounds like. We're no longer talking about Alex getting one upset over a major player. We're talking about repeated victories against elite competition. And that's the difference between yung surprise run and becoming a part of the conversation at the highest level. And Cincinnati is especially important because this is one of Alex's final big tournaments before the US Open. So every match gives her more hardcore rhythm. Every win gives her the confidence, and every match against top 10 opponent gives her more information about what she will need when she gets to New York for the US Open. If there is one thing I want Alex to bring into the Anisimova match is the aggression on return. Against Ruse, Alex was stepping inside the baseline. She was not passive. She was not simply blocking the second serve back. She was saying, if you give me a second serve, you know I'm coming after it. Against someone like Amanda Anisimova, obviously it becomes more difficult. I think the pace will be different and the first serve will present more problems. But Alex cannot suddenly become overly cautious simply because the name on the other side is top 10. Okay. The Alex who has been successful this year is the Alex who trusts her game. Aggressive but controlled, confident but not reckless. And that's the balance she will continue to need. So yung final thoughts ko mga kaibigan, yes, this match ended earlier than expected against Gabriela Ruse. Ruse was unfortunately unable to continue because of an injury, and we absolutely again wish her quick recovery. But let's also give Alex Eala the credit for what she did before yung retirement because she was leading, clearly leading 6-1, 3-0. She won 9 straight games. She was dominating Ruse's second serve. She was controlling the baseline exchanges. Again, she looked refreshed after physically demanding tournaments in Washington and in Toronto. And 2 years ago, Ruse stood between Alex and the US Open main draw and came away with victory. Yesterday during the match, Alex Eala is the top 20 player. She is the seeded player. She is the WTA champion, and she completely controlled the rematch. That is not simply revenge, mga kaibigan. That is growth and improvement. And now the next chapter is waiting. Alex Eala versus Amanda Anisimova, world number 20 versus world number 10. A first ever meeting between these two tennis players. Another opportunity for Alex to test herself against one of the best players in women's tennis. And you already know what I'm going to say. Eala mania continues in Cincinnati. So mga kaibigan, let me know in your comments what impressed you the most about Alex's performance against Ruse and against Amanda Anisimova. Do you think Alex can pull off another top 10 victory? And so comment your predictions below. And if you're following Alex Eala's Cincinnati journey with me, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications because from Washington to Toronto and now Cincinnati, Alex Eala's 2026 hardcourt story is far from over. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.